Let's first talk big picture. Questions about the quarterback position with Jeff Sims. We'll get a better read towards week end on his status, but man, that is our opening headline, because if these turnover issues continue for Nebraska, the Huskers lead the country right now in turnovers. It's hard to be optimistic the rest of the way. I mean, Nebraska could lose all of their games if these turnovers continue, as Nebraska currently has a nation-leading 8 turnovers through 2 games.
Yeah, we have to assess the situation for what it is. First of all, you don't know if, as we sit here on Tuesday at, I don't know what the hell time it is,
2:21.
We don't know if Jeff Sims will be available for this game because of an ankle sprain he suffered with 9:21 left in the loss at Colorado. So first of all, we have to get that squared away, which we don't know where that is right now. Then if Sims is healthy, he will be the starter. We better get that clear, right? That's what Rhule said on Monday. If Sims is healthy, he'll be the starter. But Rhule said he has to clean up the turnover issue. If he isn't healthy, probably Heinrich Haarberg would be your starting quarterback, because Chubba Purdy has had a tweaked groin for the last week and a half. So there you go. That's the setup. Where it goes from there, at this moment, we don't know.
Yeah, and so I guess the last update we got from Matt Rhule was that while Sims isn't practicing, he's still quote unquote moving around on the fields to the side where all the guys that are out, they do their rehab stuff and whatnot. So I mean, it's not like he's just completely unable to walk and on crutches or anything like that. Like he's doing some, I'm assuming, light jogging and maybe some just conditioning stuff. So that's at least positive for his availability. Now the question is, not only will he be healthy enough to play, but how is he going to look once he does return to the practice field in the full capacity? I think that's another layer to this whole thing right now, where this discussion isn't just about whether or not he's healthy or not. I think a lot of it is, does Nebraska's offense have the trust in him still? Matt Rhule says they do, but what happens if he has another turnover early in the game against Northern Illinois? How much does that conversation change, and how short is that leash going to be, given his maybe potential limitations on that injury, and 2, the pressure surrounding needing to get that offense going?
1, what if the ankle is bothering him? What does Jeff Sims do the best?
Run.
So you take away that. What's he not do very well?
Pass.
So it kind of
take snaps,
puts things in a different context if he's not able to run at the level he needs to be able to run at. But nobody had the guts on Tuesday to ask the players how Jeff practiced today. Like I was kind of waiting.
Wait a second. Did he practice today?
Nobody asked. Like I thought maybe I didn't want to jump on the grenade, but I thought somebody would be like, so how'd Jeff practice today? Just kind of like play dumb, babe in the woods, and see if somebody would take the bait. But I don't think anybody wanted to go down that rabbit hole.
I mean, is that appropriate to ask the players how the quarterback's doing? Is it appropriate?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you're kind of tricking them there, right? It's kind of trickery. I guess what I'm saying is I can be overly cautious about things, I know, but I almost think the head coach or a coach, Satterfield, for instance, should be the one that addresses that, not Gabe Ervin.
Right.
I agree. I mean, the health status of the quarterback, Sean. Are you sure you want that to come from Michael DeBear?
If somebody could just say, yeah, he practiced, it was good to see him back out. We didn't even get that.
I'd have been a trick.
They did talk about Sims, though. The players did, and just has his response. And of course, as you would expect, it was all positive, saying that he's done a good job of putting these early struggles behind him. He doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve. He's kind of going about his business. So I guess from that perspective, that's I think says a lot about Jeff, just kind of maintaining that stable emotions despite going through some real struggles early on.
I guess that's what you want. You don't want him flaking out. But, I mean, he's been a consistent. He's just turned it over throughout the course of his career. That's largely defined him. So you're just waiting to see now if he evolves. Is he going to evolve as a player? Some players do evolve. Some don't. And that's what we're kind of waiting to see. So far, you'd say he's just the guy he was at Georgia Tech.
Well, and this will be Matt Rhule's first home game at Memorial Stadium. For me, the biggest thing now is, can they establish an identity of what this team is? We think we know what the strengths are. We think they have a pretty good defense that they can build this around. We think they can at least run the ball. But can they develop an identity and play 4-quarter collective football on all three phases? Complementary football is the word I wanted to use. Complementary football. And we've seen taste of it. I mean, at Minnesota, and we saw it for about 2 quarters in Boulder. I mean, at the 5-minute mark of the second quarter, with right before halftime, it looked like the time of possession was going to be 20-10 at the half
in favor of Nebraska.
And they're driving. I mean, Sipple's cracking his knuckles, getting ready to write a world-class column here at this point. And
was I cracking my knuckles?
I think you're just trying to find a seat in that crowded.
It was crazy
press box.
Well, here's the deal. Matt Rhule did sort of address the blueprint yesterday. He said, when it all comes together, we'll be a team that can run for 250 yards, play strong defense and special teams. And that's going to be the formula. So he said it. I mean, now 250 yards. Let's think about 250 yards. Nebraska hasn't averaged 250 yards rushing but one time in 20 years. That's 2012. And it had Amir Abdullah and Rex Burkhead. And Taylor Martinez rushed for 1,000 yards that year. And they had three offensive linemen who played 5+ years in the NFL. So it's a little different. 250.
The sack adjust yards, too, are the key. Because in the college game, they count the sack losses in the rush total, which makes no sense. But they can't really switch that because it would throw off all the record books. So I always go right to the sack adjust yards. Like, what's the true sack adjust? And at Minnesota, Nebraska ran for over 200 sack adjust yards.
Yeah, and now listen, I want to be clear on that. I like the ambition. I mean, I think it's good to be ambitious like that. They're averaging 201.5 right now rushing, Nebraska. 201.5 rushing yards on the ground. So he thinks it can go up. I mean, you know where it's going, Robin. Is this the offensive line to get that done?
They've shown flashes of it. I think maybe the best example for me was that second quarter against Colorado, to where they were moving the line. Gabe Ervin was getting chunk runs. Yeah. They were able to do that traditional run game at a level we haven't seen from Nebraska in a long time. And so that I think is kind of the ideal vision of what this year's Nebraska offense can look like when things are working. But the problem with that is you're walking such a fine line when you're shortening the game like that, and you're putting so much pressure on your defense that when you make mistakes, especially, not even to mention the level Nebraska's making mistakes right now, but when you turn the ball over, it's a lot bigger of an issue than when you're scoring 30 to 40 points per game, because you can mask those types of things when you've got a high-powered offense. But when you're a ball control, grind it out, shorten the game offense that Nebraska kind of has to be right now, I mean, that makes these types of mistakes so crippling.